Active charts, huge buzzword. We hear it all the time. Bolting the back door. I'm sure you've heard that. In this tip, what we're going to go over is how many patients did you actually lose in the last 14 months. This tip is my attrition rate challenge. Calculate the number and learn what you can do to reduce it and improve patients coming back to your practice. Stay tuned. I talked to a lot of doctors, and they're quoted this idea of what an active chart is. And an active chart is anybody that's been in the last 18 months. And that's true, sort of. But you and I both know it's not true. Because if it were true, you'd be adding days of hygiene on a regular basis with how many new patients you're getting. So, where are the patients going? How many did we lose? It's actually quite easy to figure out. What you need to do for this challenge is go to your practice management software system. The practice management software system, I know, totally understood. They're not the most user-friendly all the time. But if nothing else, they collect a boatload of data. One of the data points they collect for every patient is next appointment date. So you should go to your patient master list. Almost every practice management software system has a patient master list. Today's date, go back 18 months. We go back 18 months and I say, give me every patient who was last seen. One of the protocols is last date seen is 18 months and ahead. Good. So now if we were to talk to a broker and we were going to sell the practice, this is the number I'd give to the buying doctor. This is how many patients are active. But that's not true. And what do I mean by that? Well, we're going to download that list. You know today's date. Good. So I'm going to look at that list. I'm going to sort it by next appointment date. If anybody's next appointment date is before today, I have lost them. They are gone. They are not scheduled into the future, meaning they are no longer active. And now they're a reactivation patient. And we're about to spend a boatload of resources trying to get all of those patients back. So you can actually quantify how many patients you're losing in 18 months. Now, if you really want to challenge yourself, you could go back 5 years. And if my last appointment date was 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, you can quantify how many patients you're losing year over year. It's a really simple mathematical exercise that all of you can do. Why no one likes to take the challenge is because they're busy. And just as an example, I did this with a doctor. It was October. And to date, they had seen 1,200 patients. 1,200 patients to date, unique patients that come through the practice. So I was only doing 10 months, guys. Does anybody want to guess what percentage of the patients were scheduled into the future? How many of the 1,200 were scheduled into the future? Most people would say, 80, 90, 70. Some of you would give a more jaded view and get the number correct. But if anybody said roughly 60%, you were on the mark. Of the 1,200, only 700 and a little bit more had an appointment into the future. 500 patients were gone. They were now in reactivation. When I pointed it out to the doctor, he said, that can't be right. Why couldn't it be right? We're busy in hygiene. Well, of course you're busy in hygiene, I said. You've lost 500 patients in 10 months, but you're getting 50 new patients a month. You're even Steven. It's really easy to not notice how many patients you're losing if you don't run this. So I challenge all of you. Can you do better than 20%? If you can't, if you're not getting up to 20% attrition rates, because that's okay, there's some acceptable rates, then we need to talk. There's a lot of things you can do to improve it. You could set up the schedule properly. You could have more people there. You could start scheduling people in the back in their hygiene appointments. Like, there's all those things, right? And there's a lot of other things. But this is the one tip that I found to be very helpful, and it's what I always did with recall and hygiene appointments. And basically, I cheated. So what do I mean by that? You'll find out that most practices schedule, I don't know, maybe at least 70 to 80% of the patients that are in hygiene. However, on the doctor side production is where I would find most of the patients that did not have an appointment into the future. They came into hygiene, they were scheduled for production, and we forgot to do some little maintenance where we gave them their 6-month appointment and we lost them. So what do I mean by I cheated? I just scheduled everybody that left the office for their 6-month recall or their 3-month or whatever they're supposed to do, no matter if they knew their schedule or not. So patients would come up to the front desk and I'd say, hey, Mrs. Jones, so we're ready to schedule. I don't have my appointment book. I don't know where I'm going to be. I'm not sure about this. And most offices go, okay, that's fine. I would say, okay, that's fine, and just schedule her anyway. Why? Because if I don't put her into the schedule, she becomes reactivation. If I put her on the schedule, the system will do what the system is designed to do, and that's starting appointment reminders. They might start 3 months out, 2 months out. But if I don't put her into that system, then it's reactivation. And a lot of offices are too understaffed to get into reactivation. That's a whole separate issue. If you'd like to learn more about what's truly causing patients to not return, well, I have a workshop you could come to. It's our new patient workshop. There's a lot of things. I'm going to put a link down in our description below. Take a look at that workshop. We also have training for this for you and your team on DDS Success. Take a look there. I'll attach the link in the description below. I'd love to find out what you thought your attrition rate was and what it actually was. So leave a comment and let me know. If you like that tip, hit subscribe. We got many more tips coming. And thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.